Oh, fun. We're talking about ascension and channeling and all the high level stuff today. So I'm welcoming Ana-La-Rai, who is a master channel and a favored client of mine. She's just created a fantastic quiz and mapped a beautiful pathway for channels who are opening at high levels. I mean, um, she's been channeling pure source energy for accelerated spiritual awakening for some time now. And she's been
Mm-hmm.
honored by other master channels as being someone who's in like the top 1% of channels on the planet. And it's hard to put words to all this stuff, but it's no secret that we are in this major up leveling of planetary energies right now. And that these new energetics require new tools and new maps and new pathways, processes for the sort of embodied spiritual folk to advance in an accelerated way. And that's what Analarai does. So I'm excited to talk to you today about the pathways and talking about your quiz and the different types of pathways people are walking as we awaken in these crazy wild times. So welcome.
Mm-hmm. Thank you
Welcome,
so
Analarai.
much. Thank you, Melissa. I'm really excited to be here and chat with you and share all of this energy with the listeners. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we look around right now in the world and we're just like, holy crap. On one hand, everything's
oh
kind of
yeah.
falling apart. And on the other hand, something's rising, something's
Yeah.
shifting. There is a great awakening happening.
Yeah, to me, I get that it's falling apart piece, but to me, I focus on the wow, this is so exciting right now. It's like,
Right.
wow, we're in it. We're in it. The energies are off the charts. So as long as you can stabilize your fields and feel like your feet are grounded,
Yeah.
and focus on the positive rather than going into the fear, I think
Hmm.
it's a great time to be on planet Earth.
It's pretty darn fun. I know at one
Yeah.
point when things were really wild and crazy, and I tuned in with my guides, and I'm like, what are we going to do with all this stuff? And they're like, get your popcorn ready. You're going to
Yeah.
eat popcorn because this is the show of forever. Like what's happening
Yeah.
right now. You're so lucky to be on the planet at this time. It's so potent and it's such an amazing moment to be a conscious being
Yeah.
in the middle of all the chaos.
It is, and I think it's so key. I love Get Your Popcorn because it really is about observing. It's about
Mm-hmm.
not jumping into the fear and the chaos and the BS going on everywhere and the manipulation. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, and it's so hard not to be pulled in.
Of
Like
course.
all of a sudden, you get on Facebook, you're on social media, you turn on to the TV and you're like, oh my gosh, all this stuff going on. And it's like, nope, nope, not my not my monkey,
If
not
it's
my
not your
show.
lane, it's not your lane. And I say that
Yeah,
right to my clients all the time, like stay in your lane. What's your role here? Because some
yeah,
of us are meant to be political advocates and we
yes,
need to be. And some of us are meant to be healers in a medical system that's breaking down and we're meant to be. And some of us are meant to be channels and to
yes.
be talking to sort of the larger awareness of what's happening on planet Earth, even while we're here as women with
Mm-hmm.
skin and feelings and all of that. And so, I recognize that you work with folks who are working with very high energies and who are also want to have a happy life,
Yes.
want to enjoy
Yeah.
this
What's
existence as much as possible.
what's the point of being here and having this great awakening if your life is crap? Like, sorry, not for me. I want to have the joyous and a good relationships and fun while all this is
Totally.
going on.
Totally. We want all
Yeah.
of it, honestly. That's what we want. And um yeah, I really love your approach because I notice that you make sense of higher awakening levels that are even just saying higher awakening levels. I like the lawyer in me is rolling her eyes. She's like, oh God, what does that even mean? Ah, freaking woo. But the truth is,
Yeah.
we're trying to find the words and the systems and the pathways and the processes that help so many of us that are having this awareness of higher
Yeah.
frequency experience, of connection with other realms, of other forms of intelligence, of other dimensional layers. We don't even know what to freaking call it, because as soon as it goes through our little brains, it's got to be dumbed down for us to get it. You know, we're talking about
exactly.
spirit. So tell us about this sort of chakra system that you've been tracking, for example, about how the chakra system is upgrading now for us to evolve in the times.
This came through a couple of years ago when I started working with Lord Shiva, who I had no clue who he was. Okay. And he ended up on the wall in the hotel I was staying at, a mural of him. And I was talking to, well, who's my husband now, I was talking to Christian, who was in Germany at the time. And he said, I just had the most incredible experience with a being in my house. And he's telling me all about it. And he literally walked into a room, this being was there. And he starts telling me, and I'm going, does he look like this? And I'm sitting in front of a picture of him, okay, in Costa Rica.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
And basically, the chakra system has completely evolved. Like it was designed, the one we had, for planet Earth for all the millennia. But now, with these new energies, the system we have doesn't work efficiently for the energies now. So this advanced chakra system, or the evolution of the chakra system, allows these energies to flow with grace and ease. And basically, there was a part of the chakra system that was shut down. When we incarnated, the vibrational frequency on planet Earth couldn't hold the whole system open. So as such, you had to clear your chakras every day and you know, check and open them, and a whole bunch of crap and work, right? That we all grew up, those on our path grew up doing. That was just like brushing your teeth. So you don't need to do any of that anymore once you have the advanced chakra system.
Kind of like a software upgrade.
Yeah, but a big one. A big one. And the cool thing is, for those of you on your journey, you know how when we do these things, there's a lot of work and a lot of clearing and a lot of looking at your stuff. Shiva, he's so funny. He's no nonsense. And he was like, no, I'm just doing it for you. And you literally listen to the recordings and he does it. There's no work. Like he was like, we're getting it done. Boom. Yeah. And it's been amazing. Amazing.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
That's super cool. And, you know, every time that how do I put this? In my own awakening journey, there's been so many times where I've had an energy show up that, like, one of my first spirit guide who appeared as a human to me was Buffalo Woman.
Oh, okay.
And she said, hey, I'm Buffalo Woman. And she wore this white dress and la, 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 la. I didn't know the story of White Calf Buffalo Woman. So I was just thought she was my person. Like she was just my imaginary friend called Buffalo Woman. And I was really embarrassed when I spoke that aloud to a Lakota person who was like, that's our clan. If that's White Calf Buffalo Woman, that's our clan guide. And I felt so mortified because I'm like, oh crap, like I'm doing cultural appropriation. And I just felt like, I'm like, but she just said Buffalo Woman. I don't know what to tell you. Like she comes in my dreams and my visions. And there's these edges where we as intuitive people are like, we're seeing these energies and then we find out that they're a thing for other people too.
Yeah.
And then we have to like make sense of that or make right with that. And I know from my friends who are Hindu, it's a very open tradition and like, oh, great. If Shiva appears to you, fantastic. You know, so it's not really, you might not get so in trouble. You might not be offending folks or hurting folks by saying Lord Shiva. And yet here's this energy that we humans have made real over millennia, right? Showing up to you and on a freaking poster in Costa Rica and to your boyfriend who's in flippin' Germany. And we're just like, oh my gosh. So I just want to acknowledge what a messy, crazy, adventurous path we're on as we're awakening to these guides and devas and deities and larger energies that honestly, let's be honest, with our brains, whatever we're calling Lord Shiva, who knows what that really is, but we know that he's in alignment with the highest good. that he's flowing with the force of love, that he's not a bad guy, and that he's got this transmission that comes through you in a unique way as a channel. And you know what I love is you're not saying like, I am the one and only channel of Lord Shiva. You know, that would be vanity channeling. That would be bad news, because then you're just asking for it, right? But like, instead you're saying, yeah, he's giving us this gift. It comes through me. And what do you know? It has really good real life effects on spirit people who are open to, you know, imagining having their chakras upgraded. What are chakras? Like, I just love going down the rabbit hole on this, you know? So I just want to take the whole thing with a giant grain of salt and go, look, this is just our best way of talking about stuff that is so much bigger than us. And why would we have to know all the precision stuff if we can have access to tools that help us walk our paths in this real world? And so yay, just to say yay. And I really appreciate that you're giving us access to a little free gift here, which is like, tell us about this. Yeah.
So that very first time when I saw him on the wall, it was, I was facilitating a retreat in Costa Rica, and I always do the full moon meditations. It's a favorite for me. And he came through, and I had never channeled him before. And he did the sacral chakra. He didn't tell anyone how, but we had the experience. So, and then when we were done, it was my first experience with him. He pulled me aside sort of after the meditation was done and said, "Are you willing to work with me?" And I'm like, well, I liked his energy. I could feel the truth in him and the integrity. And I said, yes. And so not long after we started, we did the whole chakra program where he really explained. I have to tell you a real short funny story with it.
Yeah, tell me.
During the first series, whenever I do a new series, I would do them live, right? And then the recordings go out for people. So I could hear I don't normally hear people's thoughts, but when I'm in channel mode, I get messages of what other people questions they want to ask, sometimes too afraid to ask. And so someone in the group, I could hear them say, why the hell did Shiva come to her? Okay.
Sure.
Like, why not someone in India? Exactly. Right.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
And so he answers it, and he said, well, there were really two reasons. One, her level of clarity. You know, that's the first one. She carries she can hear the voice and carry the energy. And second, she doesn't see me as a guru. So that was, you know, when you're saying different cultures and different program way things work, it was like I just saw him as a buddy, as another enlightened one, because I didn't know anything about him and I wasn't in that space. So.
Yeah, you don't know enough to be scared of the energy, and that's kind of helpful at some level.
No.
And I'm sure he comes through millions of people in India. He comes through. Oh yeah. I mean, just like Buffalo Woman. Like, I've met so many people that said, "Oh yeah, she came to me," and Maria, my Apache mama, said, "Yeah, you know, she's spoken of by the Lakota, but she's come to all the indigenous people on this Turtle Island." Like, okay. So it's tricky to honor and to do our best not to steal culture, obviously, but at the same time to acknowledge and receive what is in the highest good for us to receive and share. Yeah. I remember at the time with that experience with Buffalo Woman, I went to her immediately and was like, why didn't you tell me you're this white calf Buffalo Woman and you're giving me stuff that belongs to these people? And she said something that I've remembered ever since. She said, no one can claim what spirit only can give.
I like that.
I was like, oh, no one can claim what spirit only can give. And it's a little bit of a riddle. It doesn't just say, oh, that guy was wrong. He wasn't wrong. He was absolutely right. And there's something bigger at play that we can be in, that we can be in reverence to, that none of us own. None of us own God. None of us own the gifts of God. We're just a bunch of channels translating it as best we can in our messy flipping ways with all of our, you know, and like you said, you know, the energy said to you, like, well, it's because, yeah, she's clear. In other words, she's got a translation I need right now. So get in line. I'll come to you next. It's don't worry. There's plenty to go around.
And I'm sure you do too. I feel so blessed to be able to connect and bring through new tools and processes and messages for the planet. And I just feel honored, as I know you probably do too. It's like, wow, it's humbling. Yeah. It's humbling. Yeah. It's
and
absolutely humbling.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And constantly checking back in. Did I get that right? Did I get that right? And sharing these processes and, in what I loved about helping you create your quiz is that you're giving words to things that we don't otherwise really have words for. These types of ascension path, the sort of approaches that we have on the ascension path. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about the fact that just because we're all on this evolutionary spiritual consciousness thing, we do it differently. We approach it differently. Yes. And I would love to have you just kind of, well, first of all, what was it like for you, to create the quiz? What was that like?
Well, it's very funny because I thought, okay, I'm going to sign up and do this little course, and you had been highly recommended. And I thought, okay, this will be good for, the business, and it'll draw a few people, and it sounds interesting, and I have the time to do it now. Well, like 6 weeks in, I think I told you, then I'm like, oh my gosh, this is big. This isn't a little quiz. Well, it is. It's only 7 questions, but I could see and feel the ripples through my whole energy work and through my whole website. And it's like how I can support people finding their way fastest, easiest. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So, and it was really diving deep for us in terms of, okay, let's look at our clients and let's look at what are they? And these, I had no idea how many were going to come forward or how many unique paths. And it's been really fascinating and self-reflective to really see an awful lot and see that there are, no matter what you believe in, how we walk the path seems to be, there's similar types.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. It's so insightful. So tell us about these types, these different ways that we walk the path.
Well, we identified primarily 4, and I say primarily 4 because who knows, maybe something else is going to come forward. So in no order, there's what we call the intuitive feeler. And a lot of those are people label themselves as empaths. You don't have to be, but you go, really, it's about you feel your way through life. And unfortunately for many of them, they feel everybody else's stuff. And it's hard to distinguish between theirs and other people. And so they're always trying to often smooth things over, but they're just, they really want the best for everybody. That's kind of how I, in short form, I perceive them. And then there's the planetary healers. And so far they have been, with people that have done the quiz, seems to be the smallest percentage. And the planetary healers are the ones that are really focused on the big picture. They're out there, leading and organizing or being part of big events that help raise the vibration on the planet. And they can sometimes forget to do their own work because they're so focused on, well, why isn't everybody coming to this rally, or why isn't everybody taking part in this meditation that will help the whole planet? And they're, these hearts of gold here for the ascension. And they're amazing. And I work with them through the Alchemy Collective Consciousness, my divine service on the planet. Cool. And then there is the deep divers. And I think when you took the quiz, that's what you ended up.
Totally.
And the deep divers are just what it sounds like. They're the ones that are going to go to the core, and they're willing to do the work. And they'll go dive deep. They'll find out, and they'll push every button they can inside them, and feel the triggers and look past each lifetime and get to the core and heal it. But they also can get lost and not have as much of a 3D life because they're so focused inwards. And sometimes that can be all consuming for them. And that can be a little bit of a challenge in itself.
Mm-hmm.
And but they're really determined, and they'll really do the work, and they'll get there. And I love that with deep divers. And the other one that I found are spiritual adventurers, and that's actually what I am too. And the spiritual adventurers are always wanting to try the newest thing. Like they're not going to be a Reiki master because Reiki's been around a long time and it's stable and it works well. That's not what they're going to resonate with. They're going to want the newest energies and the newest formats, and they're always looking for an adventure. They're more of a risk taker, and they're the first people usually to jump in and say yes to something new.
Mm-hmm.
But in all that, they can also be pretty impatient with others. And sometimes they don't do their deep stuff because they're jumping from one thing to another. So they sometimes don't have the continuity that you get when you have one teacher or follow one path for a while.
Okay. Yeah.
And what I found really fascinating, Mellissa, is that these were the 4 types that we discovered and how they walk their path. But I realized that they can change based on where you are in your life. So a single mom with little kids, maybe if she took her took her quiz at one point, and maybe she's really a planetary healer. But you know what? She has 0 time to do anybody else's meditation, and she's just trying to make ends meet. Right. And she's probably on the path of the intuitive feeler because all she's doing is getting by on her feelings. Right. And you don't always have time to do the deep diving, right? And then everybody at one point is often when something new comes through wants to be a spiritual adventurer, or they jump into what's new and then do their deep diving or their planetary work. So it's not carved in stone. And I think that at different times in our life, we need different pieces. So I think being able to move between them and understanding them really helps you choose, okay, where do I need to be right now on my path? What's going to support me most?
I love it. I love it. And when people take your quiz, which by the way is at sparklesoflove.love.
Yeah, .love.
Sparklesoflove.love. And the links, for Analarai will be in the show notes too. But when you take the quiz, you might be surprised because you might think, oh, I've always been on this path. But when you take the quiz, you're going to identify actually where you're at now. And then from there, you're going to learn more about what do you need at this point in your path? Let's update what's true right now and what kind of support, because it's not a one size fits all thing, No. And Ana-La-Rai has some incredible systemized tools to help channels expand and evolve. But they're applied differently based on what type of path you're in. So it's beautiful that you're giving us navigation and support with things that, gosh, we don't even often have the words to talk about, much less really get that accelerated support. And I want to acknowledge there's, I get that feedback too from channels of power, like you, powerful channel, like you're a freaking powerful channel. And I feel honored when I can help channel for you. And I know that's when you get honored as, like one of the top 1% of channels, it's not to be elitist. It's actually just to speak like, look, there's not that many of us who have this level of super high clearance who can channel for other big channels. And it's fine. There's lots of people who can channel in other ways, and we all have our unique paths. No one path is better than the others, but if you're an advanced channel and you're looking for a mentorship on your ascension path, and you need someone who's going to get it and not be threatened by you and not be competitive with you and not just go, oh, I don't know, everything's so confusing, then, that's when you kind of need a channel for channels. So, I'm glad that you're here. I love the quiz. I love your work.
Thank you.
I'm so grateful that you showed up here to share with us on the show.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been so enlightening doing all of this, and seeing and being able to help, like you, being able to help people become their best version of themselves, to, remember who they are. I just think that's the best thing you can do.
I agree. I agree.